Hey guys! So this video is going to be a little bit of a departure from my regularly scheduled Vlogmas videos where I'm vlogging on YouTube every day up until Christmas Day, so 25 days straight in December of vlogging. And you guys know that I am currently here in Bangkok, Thailand for the main reason of attending the Miss Universe competition, both preliminary and finals night. And I went yesterday evening to watch in person the finals night in the Impact Arena, and that experience in itself was just amazing. And I don't know how I got away with the seats that I got and was sitting in yesterday night, but pretty much I was like within high five distance of the contestants. Wow. I thought in this video I would tell you guys my experience at the preliminary competition, as well as tell you guys who I think are going to make the top 20 in the Miss Universe finals this coming Monday morning / Sunday night for everyone in the US watching. The preliminary competition that I watched yesterday was a combination of the introductions as well as swimsuit and evening gown. The format this year of how they're choosing the women that are going to make the finals is they're choosing 5 women from each region, and they combined certain regions, which makes it harder for some women to make it through and easier for some women to make it through based on, you know, how well a country typically does. Like, I feel like women typically in like the Americas typically make the finals more than, let's be honest, women typically in Europe. Let's just call it how it is. But there are women from each region that I absolutely adored watching yesterday, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. But before I share that with you guys, I'll talk a little bit about my experience yesterday. The arena, which was in this place called Impact Arena, was about an hour away from the city center. So went there. When I walked in, the stage was absolutely unique and amazing. I have never seen anything like that in my life. Pretty much the stage was in an X format where the women initially walked the runway on one of the crosses, and then as they turned, they would actually go to the middle and then go to the other side and just stand there and line up until that entire group of 12, I believe, came. And I was actually sitting right next to where they were lining up, which I'll have some footage for you guys. Another thing, when I came in, I had my vlogging camera, and for some reason they weren't letting anybody bring in cameras. So I ended up having to use my cell phone to get footage. The footage that I'm showing for you guys is gonna be directly from my phone, which might explain why the quality was not as good as usual. And then I'm probably gonna try to get some snippets from kind of the actual production. Thai people love their queen. They love pageantry just as much as I feel like Filipinos love their pageants as well. Overall, I felt like the feeling in the room with all the drama that's going on in the background with, y'all already know, it just felt like positive vibes, love and light. Like, everybody was just there supporting their queen and supporting these women that have worked so hard to get to where they are today, Miss Universe. I also wanted to talk about, like, in person, the countries that had the biggest and the loudest cheers. Of course, at the top is Thailand. We're in Thailand. They cheered so loudly for Sofita. And then it was a combination of the Philippines. There were a lot of Filipino fans out there, including myself, Filipino American. USA had a lot of cheers. Vietnam had a lot of cheers. Albania, surprisingly, had a lot of cheers. I had no idea there was a large following of Albania. Angela Ponce from España, Spain, she had a lot of cheers. And that probably has to do with the fact that we're in Thailand, and Spain has a unique quality about her that I'll get to in a bit. The format for them choosing the Miss Universe contestants are 5 from each region, and I absolutely hate that format. I thought that MUO would probably learn from last year that nobody liked it. It helped some countries and it didn't help some countries. Mexico, it didn't help because we had an abundance of women coming from Americas that, you know, the 4 from America, and then like I think 1 or 2 came from the wild cards. No one liked it. I didn't like it. And so I'm so surprised that they're continuing to do that. I'm wondering if they're doing that just to get a little bit of diversity, but at the same time, I feel like the finalists should be based on merit and how well they do and not where they're from, but that's my piece. Let's get started with America. So I pretty much, for each region, put like my favorite contestants, and then I tried to choose the top 5, and then the rest I'll put them in the wild card category, and then I kind of ranked them from there, and I chose the top 5. So Americas, Ecuador, Virginia, I think, she said it like completely different and way better in her introduction, but from Ecuador, she was amazing. I had seen a little bit about her on social media, but while she was walking onto the stage, both swimsuit and the evening gown competition, I just could not stop staring at her eyes. She had this striking look to her that even though she wasn't looking at you, she was like piercing at you in the best way possible. Next, Colombia. You are not a Miss Universe hot pick list if you don't have Colombia in the mix. And she had an amazing red dress as she was walking in the evening gown competition, and I felt like she exuded so much confidence. The interesting thing about Valeria, Miss Colombia, is that she is not gonna be a queen for that much longer. She actually was crowned back in September, I believe. And the interesting thing is their national pageant this year was after the cutoff date for Miss Universe right now. So they essentially had 2 Miss Colombia competitions back to back, 1 month from each other, and then they chose another girl who's competing in next year's Miss Universe, and they've already chosen her. Next is a complete shock and surprise for me, but she is such a dark horse, and that's Curacao, Akisha. I had followed her a little bit while people were coming into Thailand, and her walk is amazing, and her dress had this like really nice beading to it, and her face, she gave so much face in the runway that I could not put her on my list. Like Colombia, there is no list if there is no Venezuela, and Stephanie from Venezuela, she has this long like Pocahontas hair that's pinned straight, really striking. I believe it was her swimsuit walk where at the very end she did this hair flip, and I was just like, girl, bye. That was everything. You're in. She had like this nice passerella walk that just kind of, her hips swayed side to side. She had so much confidence, and I've seen her on social media, and she seems like such a bubbly person that I think MEO actually gravitates towards women that are really personable like her. And lastly is Puerto Rico, where I think her name is Kiara, and she, I feel, is one of 3 women that are probably like at the very, very top. She has a little bit of everything, and she has this sweet and personal looking face. I wrote gorgeous face on my notes right over here. So that's Americas. Let's move on to Africa and Asia. And I hate how they combine both together, because I feel like in the end there are a lot of countries that kind of suffer because of this grouping. On the top of this list, girl, you already know, it's Catriona Gray, Philippines. She, man, in person, I was so shook because she was walking down the runway and I saw her do that turn, and it wasn't until I saw later on in the broadcast or like the social media that she did that slow turn. It wasn't as apparent in real life, maybe because I was just like freaking out that she's right there, but she had this confident walk. When she came out in evening gown, she did the infamous turn that she did during Binibining Pilipinas, where she did like this half turn and then another turn, and then she looked like closely to the camera. I was like dead. It was amazing. And then when she turned around, she was like literally within arm distance from me, and I just couldn't stop staring at her. I was just like so shook. Next, Kenya, Wabaya from Kenya. She has like the short hair. She's not super tall, which shouldn't be a factor, but she just had this like bright, angelic face walking in the runway. I believe she is a runway model or some sort of model, but she has experience. And like Ecuador, I could not stop staring at her. And Ecuador and Kenya were the ones that I was completely surprised by. And she has this like large smile. When she just smiled, I was like, girl, you in. Next is Tamarind Green, South Africa. I felt like she did really well. I loved her white dress that was flowing with that cape. I think that when she was walking, she had this angelic presence to her. The dress was white and it was flowy, so I was just like, oh, angel. And yeah, she's one of the women that I feel were the front runners coming into Miss Universe and everybody was talking about. People were talking about her, people were talking about Philippines, and people were talking about Colombia. But Tamarind, I think that she did so well, enough to make the finals. Next is, okay, I'm gonna butcher her name, but she's the contestant from Vietnam. Hehen, H''H''E''N. Girl, she did, I mean, next to Kenya, Vietnam had also the short hair, but she had the most fiercest walk. And her yellow dress, I don't know if they captured it in the broadcast, but in person, before she called out her name, or like right when they called her name, she did this turn, and the way that her dress was, I don't know if it was a chiffon or some sort of light material, but it just kind of turned while she turned. It just was magical. And then that look that she gave in the runway, let me tell you, everybody loved Vietnam. When she reached the end of the runway, both times, swimsuit and evening gown, and she did the really like stern like model look, and then she smiled like a ha 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 ha. Everybody went crazy over that. And then lastly, for Africa, Asia, it is Thailand, Sophia. I felt like, and I have to say, I wasn't as excited for her winning Miss Thailand, because I actually thought that Vina should have won in her national competition, but she proved me wrong, and she had this like smile and presence about her that it wasn't super threatening. She was just really a person that you wanted to be around. And the Thai people just went crazy. Everybody went crazy. I'm not even Thai, and I was like cheering her on. As she lined up after her walk, she was right next to me, and I looked at her and she was just taking it all in. She was on the verge of tears. If not, she was like slightly like tearing up, because it's an event in your life that you have worked so hard on, and hearing all of the support from her, she was just taking it all in, which was really amazing. The next group I want to talk about is Europe, and the Europe group, I feel like it's anybody's game, because I feel like the powerhouses I feel like are in Asia and the Americas. And at the top of this list for me was Great Britain, Deanne. She's actually originally from Anguilla, which is a territory of Great Britain, I believe. She had been like exchanging a few like messages to me on Instagram, which I feel like celebrities are like celebrities, but like for me, like beauty queens are my celebrities right now, which is crazy. But she has this amazing presence, and I feel like the ladies that are making my list all have a common characteristic, and it's that presence. She had an amazing walk, and I loved her dress. Next is Malta. My jaw just about dropped when Malta came out with her like emerald green dress. It was magical. I loved her dress, and I think that in pictures she's a really photogenic woman, and I felt like she did a really great performance, both swimsuit and evening gown, to make the finals. Next is another woman that I felt like for me is probably one of the most photogenic people in the competition, and that's Greece. When they had the headshots, I noticed that Greece was just like, she just looked like a really modern Angelina Jolie, but like a model version. And then when she came out on the runway, she looked exactly the same. Next on my list is Spain, and Spain, Angela Ponce. She is the first transgendered woman to compete in Miss Universe, and as somebody in the LGBTQ community, I had nothing but great things to say about her, because in a world where there had been controversies with the CEO of Victoria's Secret saying some stupid ass shit about not allowing transgendered models to be in the runway because they don't have that fantasy, girl, I felt like Spain really delivered, and she had this like grace and elegance about her, and she walked with such confidence that I loved it, and everybody in the stadium loved it too. And being in Thailand, where I feel like transgendered rights and transgendered topics are are part of the culture, it's amazing to see that happening here in Thailand. And last on my list is Russia. I felt like, girl, she just looks like a porcelain doll. Seeing her come out of the runway, I was just like, I was trying to figure out like what her skincare was, because her skin looked amazing with like this like porcelain clear but glowy skin with these crystal blue eyes. I was so jealous. I felt like she had this kind of elegance about her that showed through during her walk. And then the wild cards. I have a list of 7 countries that I have to take 2 out. And okay, so on the top of this list is Canada, Marta. She, I feel like, has the entire package as well. I was a little bit underwhelmed with her performance coming into preliminaries, because I feel like she could do so much better. And I follow her on Instagram, and I know that she had walked on the Michael Cinco fashion show, and she was wearing an amazing Michael Cinco dress, but I think she did enough to make it to the wildcards. Because next is Costa Rica. I don't remember her name, but I remember seeing her in her national pageant, and then when I saw her last night, I was really surprised with, you know, her performance, especially in evening gown. In evening gown, girl, I was like, she had this like really fierce walk. At the end of the runway, she did her little pose, and that last pose, girl, I was like, bitch. She did this like kind of like really fierce, elegant pose, and then she turned back, and I was like, next on my list is Indonesia. Her name is Sonia, and I have to say, I really loved Keisha Warao from 2016, and I loved last year's Miss Indonesia, Bunga Julita. After they crowned Sonia, I was like a little bit underwhelmed, because I loved the prior 2 queens. And then she came to Miss Universe on arrivals up until now, and she has just been giving it. Like, I was really happy with her total performance in preliminaries. That being said, I feel like there were other women that did slightly better, but that goes to show that there are some regions where the women suffer because they're only choosing 5. I would choose her as part of my wild card. I really liked her. Okay, next on my list is India. I wasn't really much of a fan coming into the competition, and then when I saw her yesterday, especially in her evening gown, she had this gold dress that I believe was the dress that she had during her national pageant. She had that top bun, and as she was walking down, you can see that she wasn't giving the smiley look, but she was giving like the stern like model look. I wish she did a little bit of both, because there were some people that did both. But that being said, I loved India last night. I have 3 more girls and I only have 1 spot. I will tell you the 3, but I'll choose one. It's between Mexico, Ireland, and Jamaica. I'm gonna go with Mexico. I love the face that she was giving. I love her face. I just love her face. I did not really like her dress. I'm sorry. I love the structure of it. I love the thought of it. I didn't like the material. It just felt like a little on the granny side for me, because it was like this lace material. But what she did with the dress, she did this turn at the very end of the runway that made it like fly a little bit, similar to Vietnam. I had my favorites. Mexico has always been a favorite of mine. I loved Crystal Silva. I loved, I think her name was Denise from last year, who was robbed. I'm a little bit upset about that. And I love Jimena from 2010 Miss Universe. But I feel like the queens that have preceded her, Andrea, I've loved. And Andrea from this year, I feel like she's great, but I feel like there's so much hype. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this predictions video. This is coming from somebody that is like more of like, there are people like that are dedicated to this type of content, but I'm coming in as like a fan, like super noob. So if I didn't say your country or your favorite, I'm sorry, but let me know who your favorites are down below. Leading up to the Miss Universe pageant, I'm really excited. The pageant is gonna be at 7 a.m. Bangkok time, which is accommodating for US time, which I think that means I gotta wake up super early. Don't forget to thumbs up this video and share and subscribe if you are looking for travel vlogs, because beauty pageant vlogs aren't really a common occurrence on my channel, but watch some of my other travel vlogs. I'm going to Hong Kong next in in less than a week, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys later. This is gonna be a long ass video. I'm so sorry. Bye.